You are live. Hang on, let's do this. All right. Hello. Looks like I'm live. I'm back today practicing more live streaming and playing around with StreamYard. Um, I don't have anything really to talk about today. We'll see what comes up. Let me put my comments in case I have guests. I did have a few. I was going back yesterday and rewatching, and I noticed a few little things that I need to tweak and improve on. It's really hard on my end to tell. Like the volume sounds fine on my end, but when I play it back, it's a little low. Like John was low and the music was lower than it sounded on my end. So I don't know how to equalize the volumes. So that's one of them. So I want to play around with that today and get it figured out. Also, my voice. I guess I'm getting old man voice. Oh, I don't know what to do about it. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna just be playing StreamYard, like futzing around with it, and then whatever else I like am inspired to post or share or do. But if anyone's watching, if I have any actual guests, if you want to come on and have a conversation about whatever, that takes precedence. So just let me know in the comments. Oh, I should put the link. Here's on the call. Okay, I believe it's. Let me see if it showed up. Okay, I put the link in the comments so y'all can just click it and hop on the call. And in the meantime, let me check YouTube. Oh, Jim Bob's on. I forgot. I was streaming at the same time he does. He's an interesting character. I just recently discovered. He recently came on my radar. I've seen him peripherally in the Crucible community, but he was on PF Young a week or so ago, and that's when I really got to get a taste of how he thinks and what some of his points of argument are. But I don't think I'm gonna. He's streaming live right now, so I think I'll just let him be and not try to share it or anything. Let me see if there's anything else I could share, and then we'll play on Twitter. John, the guy that was on here yesterday, he's a musician and he just released his new track. It's BRDGS on YouTube. That's his channel, and the track is called "Take It Slow." I wonder if he would mind if I play some of it. Maybe I can give a little snippet. Let me see. It's really nice. It's a ballad. Found it really nice, and it'll let me practice the volume too. Okay, this sounds really loud to me, and I don't really have a way to tell how it sounds on the viewer's end.
You work so hard all your life.
Listen to that.
And you got what you're looking for, and now you
There's
realize it's just as hard as it was before. It's a brand new game with the same old rule. You take it slow. take it slow.
So, see, isn't it nice? Stop screen, and I'll play it back later today and see how the volume did. And another thing I realized yesterday when I was showing the clips of Pride, I had it too loud. So when I was talking over it, kind of narrating, you couldn't hear, and it was two of me competing at the same time. And I don't blame anybody if they skip past that part. I had a hard time rewatching it myself. So that's John. Check out his work. He does really good work. He has music videos too that are very well done. And I don't know why he's not bigger than he is currently. So check him out. Give him a watch or listen. Okay, what else going on? YouTube. I'm just kind of taking you through my little social media. I have these platforms, channels that I check in and out on throughout the day, and I'm just kind of seeing what's going on with them. Oh yeah, tomorrow, 10:30 Central, PF Ewing morning show. I have no idea what the topic's going to be. He might have guessed. A week or so ago, he had a panel. There's 5 or 6 of them talking philosophy, and it was really, I liked that direction. And then Sunday is the Gender Fucks, which is John and Paul and Anton. That'll be at 10:30 on Sunday. Oh, tonight we are watching David Lynch's surrealist magnum opus, Inland Empire. It's 3 hours long. We're going to start it at 5 p.m. Central and then watch the movie. And then after that, we're going to head over to PF Ewing's Discord and do our Friday night philosophy chat. Or I call it philosophy. It's discussion. It's whatever topics come up. Politics, philosophy, culture, arts, personal lives. There's no restriction on topics. Okay, that looks like it for YouTube. Let us check on Twitter. See what's going on here. Okay, is it showing? Yeah. I was really impressed with how the Twitter came out yesterday. It was all nice and clear and better than I think in Zoom. So let's see. First, let's check in. I like to check in with the Satanist. White as a race isn't a thing. It's just what you were asked about in just about every form you submit for employment. So, unimportant. Okay. Yeah, white's really not. It's a very broad category, and it's a kind of a stand-in for Western culture in general, liberalism, etc. I have white skin. I am not culturally white at all. I've never even really been around white people until I moved up here. Cajuns historically were classified in Louisiana itself, which had a different classification system until the United States acquired us. White ethnics are people of color sometimes in the historical literature we were classified as. So when people mistake me for white because I have white skin, I'm tall. Some people say I look Aryan. Well, a friend of mine told me I look like I could be a Nazi or white supremacist, the blonde hair, blue eyes. Nothing could be further from me culturally. In fact, the Cajuns were the victim of an ethnic cleansing, the first ethnic cleansing in North America of a European population by other Europeans. Okay, this is the reason for the saying all Satanists are atheists, but not all atheists are Satanists. The good guy badge differentiates us. Atheists seem to have moved woke, which they did. There was a split in atheism, kind of so at Elevator Gate, and now they have, what's it called? Not new atheism. What's that woke version of atheism? Social atheism? Let me look it up. A new form of atheism where they start to weave in social justice to it. What is the name of it? Bug me. Because new atheism is the kind of the real dogmatic ideological atheism. I think Sam Harris and that group where they got it was almost like a reactionary form of religion in and of itself against religion. 21st century, maybe. Why can't I find this atheism? Well, anyway, I'll look for it later and try to find it. But there's a new version of atheism that's social justice oriented. So they've kind of instead of they've kind of like atheism was always like no God. There's no God or religious component to it. It's secular. It's a social movement, but they kind of substituted for that lack of a religious organizing principle, a social justice organizing principle instead. And now there's a morality and an ethics to their secularism, I guess. Where's modern? Okay. It's not new atheism though. That's Dawkins and those people. But Elevator Gate was maybe we could watch a video on it. I don't know why I can't find this new atheist version. But Elevator Gate is really good to get to know about. Kind of when there was Gamergate, Elevator Gate, that's kind of when the social justice started to make their play. And then following that, there was Evergreen and then George Floyd. But briefly, Elevator Gate was they had this atheist conference, and let me see if I can find a good video on it that's brief. Maybe we could try this one. No, that's just a conversation. And there was some guy. I think it was. I don't know if it was Richard Dawkins himself. Let me. You know what? I better look it up to be factual. Elevator Gate. Yeah, it was a atheist convention in Ireland in June 2011, and there was a man from the conference. They were hanging out in the hotel bar, and she left and went in an elevator, and he followed her in there, and she claims he sexually propositioned her in the elevator, and I think he said he was just being not. He asked her if like he wanted to go back to his room or something, and to her that was being sexually propositioned. And then Richard Dawkins came out and wrote this real satirical parody letter, kind of mocking the experience and making fun of it. And all the feminists got up in arms and split from the atheist, and then the male feminist and soy atheist kind of circled around them and decided to make like the misogyny within atheism, and it split the atheist community. And that was Elevator Gate. And then Gamergate was I don't know, some female gamer was getting harassed. In my experience with women and what I've observed in cases like this, and this goes into what John and I were talking about yesterday about conspiracy theories. They seem to magnify or exaggerate the actual events. So the narrative they create around the events in their mind and their imaginations is out of proportion to the actual events themselves. That's why I'm always skeptical of. That's where the believe all women and the Me Too came from. Just believe them that their version of events is real. Why is it so hard to find something on Elevator Gate? Maybe this one? No, she's just a lady sitting at a podium talking. You know what? I might just have to do some research on my own and find a good one for tomorrow. I don't want to take up all the time searching for one. Just look up Elevator Gate on Wikipedia. The whole point, and we're going to get back to Twitter, is that tweet was talking about woke atheism. Atheism seemed to have moved woke, which has defeated much of their purpose in being a better alternative religion. And there's a lot of Satanists that are, I use the word non-theistic, but you could say they're atheistic. I distinguish it from, to me, atheism is having no religion or spirituality, and Satanism is a religion or spirituality. So I don't call it atheistic. I just call it non-theistic. But there are some atheists that have drifted over to Satanism. And then you got to remember there's woke Satanism. Most Satanism, I would say, unless it's theistic Satanism or possibly one of the offshoots or descendants of Church of Satan, is probably woke Satanism, which is mostly represented by Satanic Temple. Okay, not much going on in the Satan world. We'll have to get some trouble going. I also like to look at the men's mental health threads. Mostly woke stuff on there too. Wokeness really does seem to be the dominant narrative that's permeating everything else, more or less, these days. Okay, this is just general Twitter. I have to sneeze. Hang on. It went away. Liberal women dance like nobody's watching because they're alpha male free. Rate my moves. No, I don't want to do that. I don't know. Twitter's just, there's nothing. This is me on Twitter lately. There's nothing that catches my attention on it. Okay, well, so much for Twitter. What else today can I get involved in or talk to you about or bring to you? Most of my week, I'm involved in several things. A lot of it's the book clubs. I'm rereading old books. My history is literature, literary history, history of ideas, intellectual history, philosophy, like how the intellectual ideas or culture that we have today are. Remember yesterday I said I'm just fascinated by knowing what's in people's head and why it's there, and how it got to be there. Same with just any point in history, why the people in that point in time think the way they do, and following the ideas from their roots, mostly in Greco-Roman culture or Greek culture, and to the modern day, and how they change through the different thinkers and artists. So I'm doing some of that. I'm rereading that Courteous book that I love so much. It's like my fifth or sixth reading of it. European literature and the Latin Middle Ages. And it is one of the best, juiciest, best books I've ever read. It's a page turner. It keeps me on my seat, the edge of my seat. But if you're not a nerd like me, it's probably going to be very, very dry reading. It's just the history of scholarship from the fall of Rome into kind of, I don't know, the 1800 around the time of Goethe, the German writer. He's trying to trace the I'm wanting to say progress, but that's not quite the word I'm trying to find. But tracing from Virgil to Dante, like how he's trying to account for the Divine Comedy and its roots in Virgil and the Aeneid. And there's an entire Latin tradition between the two works that he examines in great detail. It covers the roots of our educational system, the quadrivium, the trivium, the Greek forms of education, and how those got transformed throughout the ages, what they taught because the tradition was handed down mostly in the schools and then later in the monasteries by intellectuals to other intellectuals in very contained environments. And so it's easy to see and study that tradition and then how it developed into the modern world. And by modern, he means the vernacular literatures, post-Latin literatures, the Romance languages, Italian, Dante, French, English, German, Spanish, Provençal. So the modern languages and the Latin inheritance that filtered in through and helped develop the literature that came to be written in those languages. It's fascinating. He studies tropes. The trend now is to study archetypes and symbols and stuff, but he breaks it down to the level of tropes or topos, which he calls them. I'm going to have difficulty explaining what a trope is. It's let's just say convention. It's a literary convention that shows up. I have a guest, Shelby, my friend Shelby. Hey, it's so good to see you again. I saw her a few weeks ago. It was great reuniting. What would you have considered to have been woke 50 or 100 years ago? Well, when I was growing up in the 80s, which is not quite 50 years ago, but it's close, it was called political correctness, or PC, and it was kind of a joke. Like nobody was canceled over it or expected to conform. Like you didn't get harassed if you weren't PC, but it was kind of a joke. The expectation that everyone had to be PC was kind of mocked and laughed at. And a lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm not PC." And then they would use off-color language or slang words. So it showed up in that form, but it was not taken seriously like it is today. And now PC is woke. And if you're not it, people get hostile. And they try to impose actual social consequences for not being what I grew up being called PC. Before that, 100 years ago, it's probably the progressive movement, the women's suffrage. They had socialist movements in the United States. Possibly the workers' movement for higher wages and stuff. Because woke is founded on there's kind of it unless you're immersed in the present moment, like life as it is now, you have an active present day life. There's kind of two forms of where you can go from there. One is romanticism or what I call golden ageism, where you look to a point in the past, and it could be at any point in the past, depending, as a golden age that society has fallen from, and you're trying to get back to that age. Like the Christians are trying to get back to a more Christian society. the intellectuals are maybe trying to get back to a society where science and rationalism and the intellect were more respected. The romantics were trying to get back to the Renaissance after the Enlightenment and the mechanistic thinking of the Enlightenment. Or you have utopianism, where you're looking forward into a future that's improved over what it is today, in the present moment. And so you're either immersed in the present, or you're a golden age. You're looking back to the past and romanticizing some past period and trying to reconstruct it in the modern day, or you're looking to some future utopia that's yet to exist and trying to bring present day society into line with the vision of whatever utopian vision you have: equity, diversity, Marxism, classless society, whatever. And so I'm not a utopian at all. I think utopianism is very naive about human nature. Every utopia I've seen makes certain assumptions about human nature and its ability to conform to ideals that I think are unrealistic and not grounded in actual experience of what our nature is. And so that's my main quarrel with utopianism, is I can't reconcile their vision of human nature with my own experience of it. So maybe I'm just not fit for a utopia. I would be like the barbarian, the barbaric figure, or the uncivilized pre-utopian savage. So I don't think I would fit well into a utopia. I'm more of a golden ager. I definitely romanticize the past. A good movie, if you haven't seen it, in fact, maybe we could show it next week. It's Midnight in Paris. It's my favorite Woody Allen movie because Woody Allen is not in it. It's Owen Jones plays kind of the Woody Allen character, and I don't want to say too much about it, but it's a really good movie, and it's all about romanticism and looking towards the past to see your ideal vision of society is either in the past, in a society that's already been actualized or created, or into the future. If you're not happy with society as it is now, you're either going to look to a past model as your ideal, or you're going to look to an imaginary future model as your ideal, a visionary model. Well, they're both visionary, because even if you're looking back at the past, you're seeing it in a visionary way. So 100 years ago or so, it's probably the progressive movement, which was a strain of the liberal movement. And I'm not too familiar with it. I've read up a little bit about progressivism. But that's what I would consider to have been woke 50 or 100 years ago. But the woke itself came from the Black movement, of being awake to oppression in the Black movement, like as a Black person living in a non-Black world. And it is good to see you. If you want to come on and chat, please do. Feel free. I really enjoyed our conversations a few weeks ago. I forgot what I was talking about. I'm just really filling air so I can get this stream going regularly. I was talking about that book. Anyway, it's a good book on not only the history of literature, but Can I See You? No, did you click the link? Do you want to come on live? Let me figure out how to send the link. I'm going to put a link in the comments, and if you click it, it should put you, it's going to take you to a website where you'll see me on camera, and you won't be on, but I'll be able to see you, and then I can add you to the stream. Oh, no way. Okay. I can see you typing. I can see your name and your comments. 4, does that mean I have 4 viewers? Wow. Thank y'all, whoever you are. Great. If any of you want to come on, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll end up talking about Latin literature all day long. So I'm involved in that. I'm involved in kind of the my literary studies. I don't, I'm a consider myself a dilettante. I'm by no means an expert. It's just a hobby of mine. Sammy, hey, good to see you too. Um, th- these are people I know from my communities. I don't want to. I want to respect their privacy and not say too much about them. But I'm very excited when they show up to see them because I recognize who they are. And Sammy, if you want to come on too and chat, you can. You don't. You can leave your camera off. Either one of you. You don't have to show your face. So I'm involved in that, and I'm involved in. We have a couple of movie nights going. I'm kind of a cinephile. I like, again, dilettante, amateur, but I do like watching movies, watching and rewatching movie. Every time I watch a really good movie or read a really good book, I see more and more in it. We watched Persona the other day. That might be one of my favorite movies, Ingmar Bergman, and I saw this time around that I saw a whole new layer in it. It was like watching it for the first time all over again. Have I read The Swerve by Greenblatt? Stephen Greenblatt? No, I have not. I'm looking it up now. Okay, Sammy, that's cool. Maybe another day, and hopefully we'll see you this weekend too. Um, we're doing the Emerson essay, The American Scholar. Let's see. How the World Became Modern. Oh, there was a book on Shakespeare that he wrote that I think I did not read all the way, but I did browse through. Poggio Bracciolini. In the ancient atomistic theories, yes, the Klineman, the atoms moved to the void, and there was a theory, I think it was from Lucretius, that as the atoms move, some of the atoms will make these random little movement, like if they're moving just linear motion, they'll make these random little non-linear movements that kind of swerve away from the path they're going in, and that progress and creation or let's say progress or innovation or anything new that comes into the world are the results of these spontaneous, random, unpredictable swerves of the atom. Oh, the history of Lucretius is on. He wrote De Rerum Natura, on the nature of things, and it's kind of a scientific epic, and it's really the atheist worldview. He was a Epicurus, Epicureanism. He was kind of a, because I don't think Epicurus himself wrote much, if anything at all, but Lucretius kind of encapsulates the Epicurean philosophy in this poem, this Latin poem that he wrote. And maybe we could do a book club on that. Okay, yes, this does look very interesting. You hope you finish. It's 20 pages. You'll finish it in no time. You could probably read it in one sitting. Just curl up with a croissant and some tea in a nice cozy armchair, and you'll have it finished in no time. If anyone wants to join in, by the way, we have book club Sunday at 2 p.m. Central. Right now it's essay club because we're starting with essays and we're going to work up to a book once we all agree on one. And the next essay is Ralph Emerson's The American Scholar. It's the address he gave to the Harvard Phi Beta Kappa Society, which was the first or the oldest honor society, and it was the first Greek letter fraternity in the U.S., and it's the oldest honor society. And he's talking about, this is 18. Was this thing written? 1837. and he's talking about the place of literature and the humanities in America at that time, which you got to remember was a new country. It was only 60 years old. So, what is the place of literary studies, culture, humanities in America? And he gives his thoughts on that. And the essay we read before that was Northrop Frye's, and it was written in 1970, but Northrop Frye himself wrote in the 50s and 60s most of his work. It was kind of summarizing his earlier work. And he was exploring the place of the humanities in culture of today being the 50s and 60s, like the pre-postmodern culture. And then postmodernism came in and swept all that away. And so the humanities are the classical humanities, humanism, romanticism, even Enlightenment now at this point, are trying to kind of regain their footing. I was watching a Harold Bloom interview today, and there's I forgot his name, Scott Dobson, something from Canada. He has a YouTube series on literary criticism, and I was watching his episode on Harold Bloom. And Harold Bloom, who that's my kind of intellectual, spiritual mentor figure. He is Harold Bloom is to me what Jordan Peterson is to a lot of people today. And Northrop Frye was that same figure for Harold Bloom. And Harold Bloom thinks that we lost, like our version of the humanities, the classical. I grew up in this little gifted program I went to was a great books program. The college I went to was based on the great books. So I grew up in these great books based educational environments. And this guy on the Harold Bloom episode was saying that's all gone. Like there's no more canon today. There's no defense of it. The war has been lost. Harold Bloom, Northrop Frye, the great books, they are all set adrift on their own. So whatever of that tradition, and it's the same tradition that Curtius covers in this book I'm reading, whatever remnants of that tradition is, it's not going to be in the schools or the monasteries. Well, perhaps the monasteries. Harold Bloom, in fact, even though he's a Jewish Democrat, left. He taught at Yale most of his life. Left his entire library, which was immense. He didn't leave it to Yale. He left it to a Catholic school or university somewhere because he said those are the ones that are going to appreciate it and defend it appropriately. That's the organization he trusted it with more than Yale University, where he spent his whole life teaching. So it may be schools like that, but they teach it for a different purpose, but still they do keep that canonical tradition going. But outside of that, it's going to be individual readers, individual lovers of literature, kind of like with everything else. The social justice ideology is displacing most of the old guard in a lot of the institutions. It's happening in education. It's happening in healthcare. It's definitely happening in the mental health field that I'm in. And so we're kind of being displaced and left to kind of find or create our own alternative networks to keep that tradition going on our own outside of the academy or the institution. And that's what I've been involved in these past few years with organizations like CTA, Critical Therapy Antidote, which is for mental health professionals, and students and clients. So anyone with a stakeholder in mental health, it's critical. In fact, I can put it in the chat room. If you're interested, you're welcome to join. And Counterweight was one of them, although I think they've since shifted their mission. Institute for Liberal Values is another one. They have organizations like FAIR and FIRE. So things like that. And then there's this informal network that I've found or hope to get off the ground, drawing from these organizations. And we're kind of the ones keeping whatever's left of these traditions going for now. The voices in the wilderness. in exile, which as a Cajun, I'm used to exile. So it's almost my natural mode. And then I've been a nomad and wanderer most of my life too. So it's no thing for me to keep it going in this informal way. I really like our book clubs. I like our movie nights. Oh, and then the other thing I'm involved in, I was going to say, is the men's movement, the men's work. Mostly the Mankind Project, although the men's group I have on Mondays at 6 p.m. Central, email me if you want the link, it's open to all men. It's not just Mankind Project. Um, and I tend to draw a lot of gifted, neurodivergent, autism, ADHD type of men too. So, but I do like the co-ed groups where it's mixed. I like a nice mix of normal, neurotypical men, and then a little bit of men who are weird and different. I think we have a lot to learn and teach each other. And so my group is open to anybody, but I have a few other groups within the Mankind Project that I'm part of. We do kind of hero's journey stuff and personal work. Right now, I talked a little bit about it yesterday. I'm working on getting in touch with my emotions, my body, out just not so much in my head all the time. As an autistic person and intellectual, it's very hard for me to do. But I'm becoming more aware of how one-sided and limited that is. I'm trying to tap into the whole person, Jeff, not just the intellectual side of me. And I'm not having much success so far, but I've only just started. And so some of it is learning to or remembering to share some of my attention with my lower half, my body, my heart. Don't keep it in here all the time. Drop into my body at times and let things start to come up from here. I did it a little bit this week for a tiny few seconds. I was listening to music, and even listening to music, I listened to it with my head. I was kind of letting my body feel the music and trying to listen to it from here. And I could do it for a few seconds. I could kind of get into that state. It's a different state than the swirl inside the head. But it wouldn't last. I would get like the swirl would take over and go right back up into my head. So for little brief moments, I could kind of pull myself into that whole body, whole person experience, but not for very long. So I think it's something that I'm going to have to practice at more and more. And one of my groups next week, we're supposed to do an entire session on just how to move from the head to the heart. So maybe I'll get some tips from there too. So anyway, that's all the stuff that I'm involved in lately. And if any of you want to be involved in any of that too, just email me and I'll get you hooked up. I can feel my voice like getting stretched or something. Oh, the other thing I was going to practice on today is getting the lighting right. It seemed really off. StreamYard's supposed to be in 720p, and so is my camera. But when I was watching the video, it did not look like 720p at all. The quality looked, and Zoom is 720p as well. But the Zoom quality, when I do my streams on Zoom, look a lot better than what I saw yesterday. And I think some of it might have been the lighting. So I have my light up full blast today to see if that makes a difference. But then I get that like oily glow, which I don't really like either. And I look all pink and pasty. Yoga. I like hot yoga. I've done hot yoga before. I just love heat and sweat lodges and sitting in a car when it's in the sun all day. I lived in Vegas, hot tubs, saunas. I don't have the discipline or the attention span for yoga, meditation. That's what some of the men are telling me. Like they said, stillness and silence is the key. I said, not for Jeff. It's not. That's not going to work for me. I can tell you right now, stillness is torture. Look at this right now. Like this good luck bringing stillness to this. Silence. I mean, I'm silent in my room. I sit in my room all day when there's no one around and I'm silent. I used to talk to the cat. Every now and then I'll talk to myself, but by silence, I think they also mean silencing the mind, the quieting of the mind and the body, and that's just not gonna work for me. I have a friend that did a Buddhist retreat meditation thing, like, you go for a whole weekend, and you're silent the whole weekend, and you just walk around, and you become aware of, like, every atom of your body, and he said it was one of the most intense experiences he's ever done, like, it broke him down to his core, and when he was describing it, I was just, like, breaking out in hives just hearing about it. Sounded like the most painful thing in the I admire him for doing it, and he got a lot out of it. I know myself. I wouldn't make it past an hour at that thing. I did a Buddhist meditation in Seattle one time for you show up in this it's this big room upstairs in this church, and everybody sits down. There was probably 30 or 40 people, and they were in chairs all around the room. And they turn the lights off, and they light a candle, and they guide you into closing your eyes and silencing your mind, and then you just sit there in that room with all those people in the dark with the candle until they tell that you're supposed to do it for 40 minutes, and then after 40 minutes they call time and you can come out of it. I made it through the entire thing, never went back. It was hard. Yes, torture. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. It was uncomfortable, but I made it through. And here's what surprised me about the experience. When he called, because you don't know what amount of time is passing subjectively. When he called, I was like, man, when is he going to call time? This is taking forever. And there's kind of this pressure, although I'm not that vulnerable to social pressure. I would have got up and walked out anyway. Because you're in the dark with all these people and you want to disrupt their meditation, there's kind of this pressure to sit there and be still and not leave. So I was committed and willing to stay there for 40 minutes. But the whole time I'm thinking, when is he going to call time? This is unbearable. And he finally called time. And in my mind, I thought we were about halfway through. I thought about 20 minutes had passed and it was actually 40 minutes. So what I thought I would what I would felt to me like sitting in silence for 20 minutes was actually me sitting in silence for 40 minutes. And I did it. So that's my one experience with silence and stillness. Now, when I'm out in the wilderness, like when I was out in the desert, laying on the rock, looking up at the star, we went to Death Valley and they have the playa. That's that kind of flat area, and they have the moving rocks. But in the middle of the playa, in fact, I think I have a picture. They have these like this pile of rocks, and this was just after I lost Mike. So I was like out of my head. I was in grief. I didn't really know where I was. Um, oh, I think it's an email. And we walked across the playa to this pile of rocks. Yeah, here it is. Ooh, I can't show that picture. Hang on. There's gotta be a better one. Um, these are actually fun pictures. I forgot how this was I was just in shock and grief. And we were laying on these rocks. Well, let me get a picture off the internet so you can see the rocks. Well, they show the moving rocks, but they don't show the pile of rocks. All right, I might have to bite the bullet and show you the email picture anyway. The girl that was taking the picture asked me to pose, and so that's what I'm doing in the picture. It's my attempt to pose. There, it's that pile of rocks, and so we were laying on these rocks. And of course, oh, sorry, that's my email. Don't look at it. we were laying on this pile of we were, like, laying on the rocks with our back on the rocks, and they kinda felt like metal, but they were rock. And she started talking to me with this really soothing voice, and she said, "Just" because 'cause I'd just been through it was, like, maybe 2 weeks after losing Mike, and she's like, "I know you've been through a lot. Just lay here on the rocks and just relax, and just try not to think about anything and just feel the rock." And she was talking to me with this really calm voice, and it was so soothing. And I laid there on that rock. It it was probably 10 or 15 minutes, but again, it felt like half an hour, maybe longer. And I had so much peace, like these waves of peace were just washing over me for like the first time since the tragedy. And I could feel there was this groundingness in the rock, like coming up from the rock that was grounding me. That's what I need is grounding. Andy two-tone for Andy Nick Gurr. Who is Nick Gurr? Who is Andy? Well, hi Andy. And Nick, happy birthday. Nick. Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. This is spam. All right, Andy. Cut that out. You messing up my show. Um so I was laying on this rock and it was grounding me and we came off of the rock and went back to whatever we were doing, the hike or the campsite. And I felt a noticeable difference or effect from the state I was in before we went to the rocks. So I have had experiences like that when I'm out in the wilderness, particularly with rock. I find just laying on rock very grounding for me. And grounding is something that I'm in desperate need of. I've needed it my whole life, but particularly like lately. I think grounding is one thing that would help me get in touch with those emotions and the body, whatever else it is I'm trying to do. But the only place I've ever been able to find it is out in nature, and there's not. I'm in a city, so if I had a way to ground indoors or had some nearby nature that was accessible that I could go ground in, um, that might be one solution. So I'm going to put that on my list of things to explore and pay attention to. So grounding, I think. In fact, I could make it a goal or a stretch goal, we call them. Because when we make goals in the men's groups, we do what's called stretches, where you make your goal and then you try to add a little something to the goal to kind of push it and stretch it to be more than just the original goal, to kind of push yourself just a little bit. So, like, if my goal was to live stream 3 or 4 times a week, I might stretch it to live streaming 6 times a week or live streaming for 2 hours instead of 1 hour. That would be a stretch. So I can make some goals around grounding and some stretches around it. So I guess it's good for me to come on here and talk to myself because I learned things that can maybe help me. I'm not really sure where to go next. I feel like I'm talking myself out. Shelby, what's new with you? I know it's only been a few weeks, but you don't have to share. I'm just, if you want to chat in the comments or anything. Golden Gardens, snuggling. Oh, they have they have sand there. I love the beach and the sand too, like the Florida beaches. When I visited before I moved to Seattle, I came up here for a week and I visited, and I won't say my friend, but the ex took me. Golden Gardens is he tried to take me to all these places around Seattle that would make me want to move here. Like we went to North Bend and the Double R Cafe, the Tweeds Cafe where they filmed Twin Peaks, and he took me to some of the Twin Peaks locations like the Falls and the Lodge. We went some places in Seattle, and then Golden Gardens was one of the places that he took me, and I remember it very well. But it seemed like the ground was rocky, or it didn't. I don't remember sand beaches, but sand is nice to lay in, and, I've gotten buried in sand before. We used to beach camp before in when I lived in New Orleans before I moved up here. We'd go beach camping in Florida all the time, and, oh, I just loved it. You can make a fire right out there on the beach. The ocean was coming in at night. I woke up. I tend to wake up early, like, before the sunrise, and I walked, like, I don't know, a mile or 2 down the beach as the sun was coming up, and it was like this pink golden sunset coming up over the waves, over the sea, and, it's gorgeous. Oh, are there any beaches where I'm at? I'm on the bay. I know they have the islands near me, like, I don't know, all those little Camano Island, Oak Harbor, Anacortes, that kinda stuff. Yeah, it's really make I didn't get to do the camping I've been wanting to do since I've been out here, 'cause I mean, I'm almost even closer to the mountains where I am now than I feel like I was in Seattle. I just don't have anyone to go with. I'm not gonna go camp by myself, but it's really making me miss the outdoors. Camano Island, is that a good place to go? Do they have a beach? Let me look. To go, like, let's get oh, wow. Let's get a little group of peers and, here, I'll share. Look at that. Let's get a little group of peers together and go camping. I don't it might be too late in the year. It's cooling off up here. Oh, can you camp out here? Tillicum Beach? Man, look at this. I wanna go. Camano. Oh, it's Camano Island. There's a men's thing coming up this month that I had a chance to go to. I, decided not to. It's too regimented for me, but, it's at Camano. Well, dang. I think I have some beach camping pictures I'll try to find. Mm. There was this island in, I think it was off of Mississippi. They have a fort. I forgot what it's called, but you take, like, a little cruise boat to this fort, and then from the fort, you could canoe to this I think it's called Ship Island, and it's this little it's kinda almost just a really big sandbar in the middle of nowhere. You could see from one end of the island to the other where you stand. And we set up entire camps there and, had a whole weekend of camping on this little private sand island out there. Oh, and then this one this one y'all will like, keeps adjusting my microphone for some reason. I I don't have a lot of experience driving on sand, and we took a wrong turn. So my friends are like, "No, that wasn't the turn. You have to turn around and go back." So I turned around and went back, and this is what happened. I didn't know you were supposed to just drive on the sand. Um, oh, hang on, those are not the pictures. Let me find the beach pictures. Where are they? I have so many albums. It's figuring out which album they're in. Um, that's when I had my outdoor group in New Orleans. We did all kind of stuff. I thought I had more than that. No, I'm not. Well, I'll keep looking, but I can't find. Anyway, I don't want to take up the whole stream looking for these. Sorry. Well, there's a few of them. I can show you a few of them, I guess. That's that's the one of our frying pans. I think I had to go clean it or something. But that's Florida. It's called Perdido Key. Oh, that's when I was in a hula hoop. I made that hula hoop. I was in a hula hoop club in New Orleans. That's at City Park, and this girl had a hula hoop making event, and we went, and there was all these supplies like PVC piping and stuff, and ribbons to decorate, and we made hula hoops, and we were going to have an entire Mardi Gras crew of hula hoopers called Crew de Hoop, and we were going to try to march in one of the Mardi Gras parades. So it was kind of fun. I can white sand beaches of Oregon, or I went to. It wasn't Oregon. It was um Cannon Beach. No, not Cannon Beach. Ruby Beach here in Washington, out on the Olympic Peninsula, and it was similar to Oregon. So I got that. See, they had it. We had this is that little island I'm talking about that we had all to ourselves. And these were like hardcore campers. We went all out. They had all the gear. And then I had a few more pictures from Perdido Key. That was all very fun. Yeah, look at these. Look at the sunsets or sunrise, whatever. I think that's rise. Oh, sorry. Let me there's a few more. I don't know how exciting this is for anybody, but if there's anything else to do, just tell me in the comments. I'm just trying to keep the stream going. Um, see stuff like that. This is a neat place. It's in Louisiana. It's called Barataria, Jean Lafitte Preserve, and it's this boardwalk, this like this raised boardwalk that goes through the swamp, and it's kind of like almost like a little labyrinth. There's all these paths to it, and it you can see down into the swamp. It looks prehistoric. It's like walking around in dinosaur days. They have the giant ferns. You can see the alligators below. And then it ends at this canal with these giant alligators in it that you can go walk and see. Oh, I guess. Oh, that's where I stole that lady's baby to get the Mardi Gras beads. Okay, I'll stop going through the pictures. Thank you. Oh. Yeah, now you're making me want to go camp. Okay, if we don't get it done this year, which we probably won't, and if I'm still here next year, let's try to organize a pier camping trip at Camino or one of the beaches. and hold me to it because I want to do it. I remember when we had our peer coffee in Seattle, we had talked about a peer camping trip for a while, but it never got off the ground. That movie today it's in 2 hours. So I might try to stream for another. Well, we'll see what happens. Another half hour or hour or so if anybody shows up. And then I'll sign off and go get ready for the movie. Inland Empire. Okay, Jim Bob is still going. See if there's anything on Twitter. It's hard keeping a stream going when there's no activity and you have nothing else to talk about. Is anything going on this weekend or in the near future? Halloween's coming up. Oh, I wanted to try to replay that Halloween video from yesterday. The houses around here really they kind of like try to compete with each other. Halloween. And so you get some really interesting yard setups. And I want to try to show I love you too, Shelby. Not this. No, stop. Share window. Yesterday it didn't play for some reason, but I want to. This house has their Halloween decorations up. See, it's not playing. Why? I need to figure this out. Stop screen. Why come it's not playing? Let me try my browser. It usually doesn't work. Nope, didn't work. I don't know why. Media could not be played. And then it crashes the whole tab and I have to reload it. Oh well. I'll show y'all someday. Well, there's nothing else to do. Maybe I will look at more photos. What the hell? I'll look at maybe the Vegas. This is I did a lot of hiking and stuff in Vegas. So I could look at this. I forgot what hike this is, but it's way up on some mountain and that's like a little village below. That was just a little day hike. Red Rock Canyon outside of Vegas. Just me rappelling. See, look, I love laying on all this rock. These are some petroglyphs. This is actually in Vegas. They have like on the outskirts of Vegas, they have like this little housing subdivision. And behind it, they have this little canyon. It's called Sloan Canyon. and they have petroglyphs all throughout this little rocky canyon. This was like about 2 days after Mike. In fact, I think this might have been the day before the funeral. Like, it was that fresh, and his best friend was in town for the funeral and had another friend. And to get me out of the house, they talked me into coming and hiking in this little canyon in the city. And we looked at petroglyphs, and I was completely like, I wasn't even in reality right now. This picture looks normal, but mentally, I was in a complete different state of consciousness than the ordinary state. And I remember we were walking, and I did this a lot the first few weeks. I just collapsed on this rock. Like, I couldn't be conscious or upright anymore at all. I just had to go fetal. The hat is, I didn't bring a hat with me, and the lady we were hiking with had one in her car. It was this fuzzy pink lady's hat, so that's why I'm wearing that hat. But that is not my hat. And I did this a lot. I would just collapse onto the ground or onto some rock and just kind of lose myself until my friends would revive me again and get me to move on. That is, I don't know. I don't have an explanation for that one. I forgot where this might be Death Valley somewhere too. And I found out about this after the trip at Death Valley. When we got back to Vegas, there was a whole group of us, and we all kind of went at different times and took different routes. And one of the ladies that came in, one of the last groups to come in, said that on the route they took, they had to take a different route because the route was closed off. They had all these cop cars, that there was a sniper in the rocks with a rifle, and he was shooting at cars while they were going through this road. So they had to be diverted on this other route. And that's why they showed up after everybody else. And like, that could have been us. Like, we missed it just because we had left earlier. But that was all going on around Death Valley at the time. This would have been in 2007. That's my friend. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Death Valley. There's the Playa Rocks. It must be, because I have the same outfit. This was me. This was like a few weeks after. This is grief. You can't tell by looking, but I would go out. I'd take a pillow, a toothbrush, a sheet, some water, a little bit of food. I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about food, anything. And when it came time to sleep, I would just lay my pillow on the ground, and it was lights out. And someone took a picture of me sleeping. But this is me just trying to cope with the reality of what had just happened. They were making sure I eat. That's in the cave. This was before Mike, I think. This is a rope that goes down into a cave. This was way back in the cave where it starts to get like you can't go anymore. We would go there's like the kids would go hang out way back there because you could bring alcohol and smoke weed, and it was so far into the cave nobody would bother you. We were driving up to the trail, and there were all these wild horses, broncos or something, and we just stopped and took pictures. You could go up to them and touch them and pet them. Look at that. They were so tame. I'd never seen anything like that. And I'm not even a horse person. That was a nice day. Okay, I have an explanation for this. This is Sedona, Arizona. I think it's called Red Rock Mountain or something. I sunburn very easily. I have rosacea. My face is very sensitive to sunlight. I will burn in 5 seconds. And I had a hard time finding anything to keep the sun off my head. I tried with a hoodie. I would hike with a big towel over my head and around my face, and nothing kept. I tried visors, I tried those camping hats, cowboy hats, everything, and I'd still come back with part of my face burned. This thing on my head is called a gosselaar, garde de soleil, sun guard, but in French, in Cajun French, is gosselaar. The old Cajun women used to wear these when they would work out in the field, in the garden. And this is my grandmother's gosselaar. And when she died, she specifically wanted me to have the gosselaar. And I had it in store, like in my room. I never dreamed that I would actually ever wear it or use it. I mean, it's made for old lady. But I took it hiking with me one day. I saw it's a gosselaar. It's supposed to be made to keep sunlight out. So I decided to try it one day, and I put it on, and this is the only thing that I found that would keep the sunlight completely off my face to where I would not burn. So I started hiking with this thing. Every hike I went on, people would see me in this sunbonnet, this old, it's like paisley or old lady material sunbonnet, and this was my hiking hat. That's me, leaning over the edge of whatever mountain we're on. You see, I have the gosselaar on. This is Mount Charleston in Vegas. It's the highest peak in Nevada, I think. Definitely the highest peak around Vegas. It's the one that they ski on. They have a ski lodge up there, and you could hike to the top, and they have the elevation listed somewhere. We were camping up there on this mountain. They have a big meadow you can camp in, and a couple of people were going up there. We had just woken up. It was in the morning, and I woke up too, and they're like, "We're going to the top of the mountain." And I said, "Oh, I want to go." So I tagged along with them. And I'm in my pajamas and everything. That's why I look like that. The gosselaar. Yeah, that's the elevation. I guess you can't see it, but that's the sign that shows the elevation. And there were all these, we were sitting up there. They had kind of like this little rock pit at the top you could sit in, this little depression full of rocks. We were all sitting in the rocks, just chatting. And we noticed all of these, there were these ticks crawling up from the rock. They were everywhere in this rock pit. Like we were sitting in a big pit full of ticks. So none of us got ticks, thankfully, but that was kind of a unnerving moment. So that's some of my Vegas pictures. Anybody even cares or is interested. And then after that, I moved to New Orleans. Ooh, this is our Mardi Gras party. This was I kind of brought Mardi Gras to Vegas for my little group, and every year I would do a Mardi Gras party. And one year, a friend of mine had it at his house, and he did some work. He did some contract work for some of the casinos, and they had these big Mardi Gras heads that they had in storage that they let him use for the party. So we had all of these cool Mardi Gras decorations, and we were able to just go all out for this party. So this was 2002, I believe. Look at that. We had a fog machine. He bought an entire dance floor for his living room, and we moved all the furniture out and turned his living room into a dance floor with fog machine, lights, everything. This is one of my favorite. This guy, I have no idea who he is. He just came and plopped himself on my lap out of the blue and started mugging for the camera. And I had no idea what he was doing on my lap. See, look at these were all over the house. He had some of them in his yard. This is the guy who threw the party. The hot tub, see, they're all around his garden. And there was this mannequin figure, so he put this in the foyer by his front door, and people could come in, and they were greeted by this mannequin, and they were taking pictures with it all night long. These are all the gays, by the way. Look, this is his living room. Look at the lighting set up, fog machine, everything. He went all out for this thing. Look at that. See, look at this. He had the big mask, Mardi Gras heads. That's him. Lots of fun. Vegas is really fun. I had it was probably my favorite place to live ever. It's so different from here. It really is. The people are social. Everyone's exciting and interesting, and they're all extroverts. That's I love this person. She did the food for us. She had a catering service. She was from the South, so that is my Mardi Gras. Maybe I don't want to share all the pictures today because it'll give me something to do on future streams. I'll share some. Let me see. I really don't know where to go next. Yeah, I guess I'll save some pictures for later. I have a few New Orleans pictures. I'll share those, and then that'll be enough. This is Mardi Gras. Just clowning, having fun. I live like 4 or 5 blocks from the major parade, one of the major parade routes. So every day after work, I would walk to some days they had like 2 or 3 parades. I went to 21 parades within about a month. Mardi Gras season is long; it's about 6 weeks. But like the build up to Mardi Gras, it's not just a single holiday. And so they have parades all throughout those weeks. I went to like 21 parades in about a month. That's Magazine Street, which I'm told is the longest, not the longest street in the world, but the longest continuous. It's a huge. I think it's like 6 miles. And it's just shop after shop after shop after shop. It's a shopping street. And we would walk. I lived a block from Magazine. We would walk up and down Magazine Street. That's St. Patrick's Day. Put my hair green. Rock climbing. Yeah, we used to go canoeing and canoe camping. It's me playing in the trees. This is I think this is at the ropes course. Canoeing, me under the bridge. This is that Barataria place I was talking about with the boardwalks. That's at the end of the boardwalk. They had this big storm coming in. That's up in it's called Cheehaw, it's Alabama. It's I think they extended the Appalachian Trail down to Alabama. We did a lot of rock climbing. This is all Alabama. It's gorgeous up there. Look at that. Look at this. Oh my God. Just beautiful. Reminds me of Tennessee and the Smokies, the Blue Ridges. This is Tennessee, actually, this picture. I think that's Tennessee as well. So, anyway. Okay, that's enough pictures for one day. I don't know if anyone else is going to show up. It was sure good to see Shelby and Sammy. I'll check YouTube one more time. I really need to do something about this voice if I'm going to keep streaming like this. The idea is not for me to talk continuously, though. It's to have people on. So, come on, people, where you at? Queer nature is fundamentally a celebration of the connections between queer people, plants, and fungi through art. As part of the festival, we will celebrate some examples of plants and fungi with characteristics that do not fit within traditional forms of categorization. They are truly, they will find an analogy with any, they are truly oppressed by social norms and are desperate to analogize themselves to anything with any kind of difference. I've always been weird and different, and I've always been able to accept that and coexist with other people that were not like me without feeling oppressed by the difference. Yeah, I don't understand the queer mindset at all. Oh my God, I'm so different than everybody else. I can't live in normal society at all, ever. Oh, I'm on Twitter, browsing around here. I can share. If a parent refuses to affirm, call a child self-designated as transgender, or refer to the child by his or her chosen pronoun, the parent will lose custody of the child. What? Is this Canada? California? Wait, hold on. The California Assembly just voted in favor of AB 957, which will require judges take into account whether a parent affirms a child's gender identity in determining custody. Oh, so if there's a custody battle and you have one parent that's not affirming the identity, they can use that to give the child to the other parent. Lori Wilson. Here, let's take a watch.
Know that parents affirm their children. They have since the dawn of time. Typically, it happens when
She's
they're
boring. I can't sit. I can't listen to her. Wow. I'm glad I don't have kids. Nope. Gays Against Groomers Bill of Rights. I'm suspicious of it. New from Washington State. What? I don't know what that means. What's Pac 12 assertions? Oh, I don't know what this is about. August will be recognized as, this is California again, as Transgender History Month. It is the first state to honor trans history with the designation. They even feel different from the gays. They need their own month. So Pride, June is, they're going to get Pride Month from June, but then they're also going to get August. So we get a break in July from them. And then they get August again, specifically for the transgender, even though they've also colonized and taken over Pride, which is June. Oof. Okay, I'm getting irritated. Well, it's been an hour and a half. If I can't think of anything else to entertain. Oh, we're also trying to get a board game group going. There's all these online board gaming, like simulators, platforms, so you can play traditional tabletop games online. So if you're interested in that, contact me for that too. That's the other project that I'm getting involved in, board gaming. Oh, I could show you this. Hang on. I had these made for that conference I went to a few weeks ago, and I ended up hardly using any of them. But look, I don't know if y'all can see it. It's my business cards from my practice. I got some professionally made. So open for business. If you sadersgrove.com, mental health coaching, men's mental health coaching, gifted neurodivergent ADHD men, but I will help any man that needs help, or I'll at least talk to you and see if I think I'll be able to help you. I'm not going to be a solution for every person out there, but if I'm not, I'll definitely help you try to find where to go. And men's group, book clubs, movie nights, board gaming, if any of that interests you, contact me. In fact, I'll put my email in the chat. Let me delete this comment. Okay, well, folks, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you for the guests that showed up. Oh, let me get some music going. Let's feed the ducks. Take you into the weekend. I'll probably stream this weekend too. So look for me there. Catch me there. Oh, I wanted to tweak this color a little bit. See you tomorrow.